Patita Pavana, Patita Pavana Goranita Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada. Hare Hare Bol. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Wait, hold on. I just need to adjust it. Oh, hi, Bob. Oh, thank you so much. Yay, thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. You guys are nice. New Year's Eve. Come on, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we're going to have a Bhagavad Gita class. I'm sure it's going to be enlightening. Who's not read the Bhagavad Gita here? Or I guess everyone's read the Bhagavad Gita, right? Something about it. Yeah. So if you're familiar with it, that's good. If you're not, this is a great opportunity to learn something. We are going to be reading Bhagavad Gita verse 4.5. It's on the board. It might be a bit difficult if you're on this side of the temple, but if you're on that side, then you can also face the speaker. She can look at you as well, and you could also look at the verse. So if I could kindly ask everyone to move on that side and face the audience, that would be so helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ram Lakshman Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. I didn't quite hear that. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you. So, welcome to Bhaktivedanta Manor. Welcome to those who are joining us online on YouTube Live. Today, the Bhagavad Gita class will be based on chapter 4, verse 5. Before we get started, we're going to sing some prayers, Jai Radha Madhav prayers, just to invoke the mood and the blessings of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna, and to get ourselves into the right mindset. Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanichari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana, Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanichari, Yamuna Tira Vanichari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. we're just going to recite some invocation prayers to seek the blessings of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and all our previous acharyas. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone please chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Welcome to Bhaktivedanta Manor on New Year's Eve. You could have been anywhere today, but you chose to come here, so thank you. So on the screen, you will see the verse that we are going to be discussing today. I'll recite it and then you can repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava arjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjana Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjana Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa. Would anyone like to have a go? Who's brave enough? Yeah, go ahead. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa. Thank you. Anyone else? Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjana Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa. Thank you. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjana Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vetha Parantapa. Thank you, Mataji. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha. The personality of Godhead said, Bahuni, many, me, of mine, Vyatitani, have passed, Janmani, births, Tava, of yours, Cha, and also, Arjuna, O Arjun, Tani, those, Aham, I, Veda, do know, Sarvani, all, Na, not, Tvam, you, Vetha, no, Parantapa, O subduer of the enemy. Translation and purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhus, do you want to sit down? Join us for the class. Yeah. Translation. The personality of Godhead said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 5.33, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Madurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanding into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are not usually understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to the pure, unalloyed devotees. It is also stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.39. Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishthan Nana Vataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samavabhavat Parama Pumanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead, known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. In the Vedas, also, it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He is like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color, yet still remains one. All these multiforms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, not by a simple study of the Vedas. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Devotees like Arjun are constant companions of the Lord. And whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of those devotees, and in this verse, it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivasvan, Arjuna, in a different capacity, was also present. But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna is that the Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. That's the difference between part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue the enemies, he is unable to recall what happened in his various past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible, achyuta. Infallible means someone who's not capable of making mistakes, who is perfect. So which means that he never forget himself, even though he is in material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord. But by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or a demon cannot understand this transcendental nature. Consequently, these descriptions in the Bhagavad Gita cannot be understood by demoniac brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers because he does not change his Satchidananda body. He is Advaita, which means there's no distinction between his body and himself. Everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. Because the Lord's body and his self are identical, his position is always different from that of the original living entity, even when he descends to the material platform. The demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following next verse. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Whew. It's quite a lot to unpack here. One thing I noticed when I was studying this verse is that when our authority, when our spiritual master wants to emphasize something that's really important, they don't just say it once, they say it 3 times. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned 3 times that a living entity can never be equal to the Lord. In the first segment of the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that a living entity, however great he may be in the material concept, he can never equal the Supreme Lord. And then he says again, anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord also cannot be equal to the Lord. And then the third time Srila Prabhupada mentions in the same paragraph, therefore the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects. There are lots of different types of mindsets that are evolving in the material world. And one of those mindsets is a demoniac personality. People who think that they are greater than the Lord. People who think that they are more powerful than the Lord. Srila Prabhupada mentions that the Lord is infallible. Infallible means someone who can never make a mistake. Everything about them is perfect. Everything about their creation, their words, their instructions, everything about them is perfect without any errors. So Krishna expands himself in his Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Nama means the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that we are chanting, that we are singing. That is Lord Krishna in the form of his holy name. His Rupa, his beauty, the transcendental beauty, beautiful darshan of the Lord that we see at the altar. He is present in the beauty of the Lord. His gunas, his qualities, he is present in the qualities, and his leelas, the pastimes, he is present in those pastimes. But he is perfect in all those qualities. He never makes any mistakes. The living entity is fallible because we are prone to making mistakes. In the Science of Self-Realization, it's a wonderful book written by Srila Prabhupada. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you do. In the Science of Self-Realization, Srila Prabhupada says that as humans, we are limited in our senses, we are prone to making mistakes, we are prone to cheating others. So in that sense, the living entity, as in ourselves, we are prone to making mistakes. We are fallible. As they say, to err is human, to forgive divine. To err is human. What does that mean? That means the tendency to make mistakes is only possible in the human form. So how can we actually consider ourselves as equal to the Lord or even greater than the Lord? You see so many worldly personalities out there, so-called world leaders, who think that just because they have all the power, all the money, all the fame in the world, that they can be greater than the Lord and they can control the operations of how the world is run. But that's quite delusional, because what happens when one day all that money vanishes, that fame, that name, that power? At the time of death, what happens to all of that? It's given to someone else. Everything is temporary. The living entity is temporary. The material world is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. In terms of demoniac, so these are certain demoniac qualities that a lot of people who are obsessed with money and power and fame, they tend to develop these demoniac qualities because they want to control the world. They want to control how the population is run, for example, how the government is run, for example. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is another form of our sacred text, and it's Krishna himself who is in our Shastric form. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's very interesting actually how the Srimad Bhagavatam has predicted and described a lot of what's happening in the material world right now, all the wars, all the conflicts, all the social unrest. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, verse 5, I'm not going to read the verse, but I'm just going to talk about how Srila Prabhupada actually describes the demoniac behaviors in people in quite a lot of detail. So these demoniac behaviors, they operate in the modes of passion and ignorance. So we are governed by, in the material world, we are governed by the modes of material nature, the modes of goodness, the modes of passion, the modes of ignorance. And these modes take place and actually dictate our mindset and our behavior 24/7. So those who are in the modes of goodness are those who are meditators. They are spiritualists. They wake up early in the morning. They do their morning prayers, the morning meditation. Those who are actively in the modes of passion and ignorance are these people, these demoniac personalities, who are so obsessed with getting their name, fame, power, money, all the wealth in the world. So Srila Prabhupada, in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, he talks about these demoniac qualities. He says, when a man becomes too proud of his material position, he tries to enjoy his senses in an unrestricted way, being influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. He is thus described as asuric. Asuras means demons. So someone who's asuric means someone who has demoniac qualities. So when people are demoniac in spirit, they are not merciful towards animals. They maintain various slaughterhouses. This is technically called shuna or himsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. So himsa means the opposite, violence. Violence towards other living beings, killing other living beings. In this age of Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, due to the increase of the modes of passion and ignorance, almost all men are asuric. This is quite a bold statement that Srila Prabhupada is talking about. But it's essentially very true, because it's evident in what we see around us. All the wars, all the conflict, people just, causing riot everywhere. There's so much unrest. Why? Because people are so miserable inside. And because they are subjecting themselves to the modes of passion and ignorance without taking active action to make changes. So Srila Prabhupada says, almost all the men are asuric or demoniac. Therefore, they're very fond of eating the flesh, as in eating meat. And for this, they maintain various kinds of animal slaughterhouses. In this age of Kali, the propensity for mercy is almost nil. Consequently, there's always fighting and wars between men and nations. Men do not understand that because they unrestrictedly kill so many animals in this life, they will be slaughtered like animals in the big wars. So the action of karma, the action, the reaction, the action and reaction propensity of the karmic effects. And this is why Srila Prabhupada preached heavily about vegetarianism, preached heavily about cow protection, preached heavily about sustainable living. Why? Because he is saving us from the karmic implications of indulging in the flesh. So coming back to this verse today, where Srila Prabhupada talks about the Lord's various incarnations. So Srila Prabhupada mentions about the Lord manifesting as Lord Ram, who we see on the altar, and Lord Narasimha, who we see in the painting just over there, and many other incarnations. So the Lord's various incarnations, these are not understood by so-called scholars of the Vedas. Anyone can say that they are Vedic scholars. Anyone can study and memorize the scriptures and the verses. But those who truly understand the real meaning and the essence of these verses, and those who are able to apply these teachings into their own lives, are the pure unalloyed devotees. Unalloyed means there's no tinge of material contamination. Their heart is pure, the consciousness is pure. Srila Prabhupada is a perfect example of a pure unalloyed devotee. Our previous acharyas, they are also pure unalloyed devotees. Why? Because not only have they absorbed the verses into their consciousness, but they've applied the teachings into their lives. In this verse, Srila Prabhupada talks about how the Lord is unlimited in many different aspects. So Srila Prabhupada actually, in another verse, he talks about the 6 opulences. So the 6 opulences, and Krishna has these opulences in unlimited quantities. So the opulence of beauty, intelligence, fame, power, strength, and renunciation. So these opulences, Krishna has them in abundance. He has them in unlimited qualities. Krishna, the name Krishna, means all attractive, because he is genuinely so attractive. He is so beautiful. He has all these opulences infinitely. That is why he is attractive. He is known as Bhagwan, the source of all opulences, the source of everything that exists around us. As a living entity, like I mentioned before, that we have limited capabilities, we have limited senses, we have the propensity to cheat others and make mistakes. However, Krishna has also blessed us with a tiny, tiny sparkle of his 6 opulences. So the beauty we see around us, the intelligence we see in others, basically, these are all sparkles of Krishna's unlimited opulences, and we are blessed with these opulences only by the mercy of the Lord. Otherwise, we are not born with it. So our body, everything is temporary. The material world is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. So therefore, the opulences that we possess in terms of beauty, fame, intelligence, and so forth, that's also temporary. That's only going to last us in this lifetime. We don't know what we're going to be in our next life. We don't know what opulences we're going to be blessed with. So we have to remember how it is more important to use the opulences. Jai Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So it's important to remember that even though this body is temporary, we've been blessed with certain opulences, a tiny sparkle of it. We should actually be able to use that as a thank you gift in service to Krishna. The intelligence we've received, you see so many people with beautiful talents, musical talents, sporting abilities, any other talents. If someone has a penchant for reading or writing or memorizing certain scriptures, we can use these talents because Krishna has blessed us with them, we can use it in his service. So we see a lot of devotees who like to dress nicely for Krishna. So that's also a form of beauty that we see around us. But we are dressing nicely for Krishna. We are using that beauty in service for Krishna. So in terms of the Lord's intelligence in this verse, so we're just going to focus on the intelligence aspect of the opulences. So the Lord remembers past, present, and future of every living entity. And not just from this life, from millions and millions of years ago. He remembers the past, present, and future. He remembers all of our past lives. He remembers our identities, our traumas, our anxieties, our experiences, our forms. How is it that we don't remember? Right? That's because our intelligence is also limited. Someone's phone's going off. That's because our intelligence is limited. There are some rare cases where some people do remember their past lives, but this is not possible for everyone. And Krishna actually is saving us from the torture and the trauma that the soul actually experiences. Srila Prabhupada actually describes quite vividly in the Bhagavad Gita about the measurement of the soul. And the soul is described, how Krishna actually describes it as 1 to the 10,000th power of the tip of a strand of hair. So you can imagine how tiny, tiny, tiny that soul actually is. So Krishna is so magnanimous that he sits within our soul. He resides as the super soul. So he can shrink himself down to the tiniest of the tiniest particle, and yet at the same time, he can expand himself to the universe. He can expand himself as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He can expand himself as a maintainer of the universe. Anyone who claims that they are greater than the Lord, anyone who claims that there is no God, anyone who claims that they themselves are the Lord, then we can play devil's advocate and we can ask them, can you manifest yourself at the same time as a tiny, tiny sparkle? But also at the same time, can you maintain the universe? Can you actually look into people's past, present, and future at the same time? Can you maintain the livelihood of every living entity, not just humans, but sea creatures, birds, insects, flowers, plants? Can you maintain any of that? So it's quite a bold statement for someone to say that they are God. And you have many pseudo-gurus. That Srila Prabhupada calls them pseudo-gurus or rascals. Srila Prabhupada actually, if you read his books and listen to his classes, he uses the word rascals a lot. He likes calling people that because it's that demoniac mentality that Srila Prabhupada is addressing. It's kind of like, as a child, you don't believe in the existence of your parents. As a child, you tell your parents, I don't believe you exist. Or as a child, you tell your parents, I am greater than you, I'm stronger than you, I'm more powerful than you. Then obviously your parents are going to laugh at you, right? Because if your if your mother has given birth to you, and yet you are saying to your mother, I'm actually more powerful than you, greater than you, it's laughable. It's a no-brainer. That's not something that we can conceive in our minds. So then why would we think about that of our original mother and father? Right? And in terms of past, present, and future, Krishna also, when the soul leaves the body in one birth, there is a transmigration process. It takes up to 2 weeks, and that's why in our Vedic culture we have 2 weeks of prayers. We have certain pujas and ceremonies. Why? To pray for the soul's safe journey into its next birth. But during that time, how do we know where the soul is? How do we know if the soul is protected against other energies, against other elements? How do we know what phase of the journey the soul is at, or what the next birth will be for that soul? As parents, you are parents to your child in this life. Your child has you as their parents in this life. Do we know who our parents were in our previous lives? Do we know who our parents will be in our future lives? We don't know that. Do our parents, are they able to look after us once we die? Are they able to look after our soul's journey to make sure that it is protected? So that when we experience death, when we experience birth in another form, are our parents in this life, are they able to protect us? No. Everything is temporary. Right? So Krishna is actually our true mother and father. Why? Because he protects us. He knows what's going to happen, past, present, future. He protects our soul's journey from one birth to another. And that's why in our culture, when someone passes away, it is highly, highly recommended that people should come to the temple more, even though some people believe that we shouldn't go to the temple for 2 weeks or whatever. But I actually believe in the opposite. We should come to the temple more often. We should pray more often for that soul's onward journey. Because only Krishna knows what's going to happen to that soul. And only Krishna can see that soul's journey and protect that soul accordingly in its onward journey, right? And Srila Prabhupada even talks about in the purport how the living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, which is why a lot of us, we don't know who we were in our previous lives. We can't remember who we were. Certain habits, certain personality traits, certain even bodily features, like some people have a birthmark on their forehead or on their arms or whatever, or some people have certain habits or certain traumas that they are dealing with in this life. But a lot of that is actually some scars that are carried forward from our previous lives and brought forward in here. But the living entity doesn't remember that. As humans, we don't remember because our intelligence is limited, but also because the journey and the experience of the soul being physically extracted from the body at the time of death is so painful. Srila Prabhupada describes in the Bhagavad Gita that the pain that the soul experiences at the time of death is the equivalent of 1,000 scorpions biting you at the same time. 1,000 scorpions. Imagine how painful that is. And that's the pain that the body experiences, but also the soul in a way experiences that when it's extracted from the body at the time of death. And Krishna, in our next birth, he guides us and he wants to protect us, which is why he wants to save us from that traumatic experience of remembering how we died in our previous life and what we experienced in our previous life. So just to summarize, we've got about 15 minutes. So just to summarize that in this verse, Srila Prabhupada actually talks about the transcendental qualities of Krishna and how Krishna is unlimited in his Nama Rupa Guna Lila. He is unlimited in his creations. He is unlimited in his forms, in his name, in his pastimes. He is infallible, which means he is perfect, he is all attractive. Whereas the living entity, as fallible beings, even though we are prone to making mistakes, by the grace of the Lord, we are actually able to, we are blessed with certain qualities, certain opulences that Krishna possesses in unlimited quantity. We possess a tiny amount of that. And whatever talents, whatever opulences we are blessed with, whether it's money, whether it's intelligence, physical strength, mental strength, anything, we could use it in Krishna's service as a thank you gift back to him. So that's what's really important. Does anyone have any questions, comments, realizations? Yes, Haribol.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful and well-prepared class.
Thank you.
Playing devil's advocate, what proof is there of reincarnation? What proof is there? Because it said that Krishna is able to remember his interactions with Arjuna, but Arjuna can't remember anything. So what about us? How do we know that we did have a previous life?
Because Krishna, I mean, you would know the answer to that, Prabhu. But Krishna actually mentions openly in this verse that he remembers everything from the past, millions of years ago, from the past. He remembers everything about every single living entity, whereas we don't. Whereas Arjun didn't remember, even though he's a close associate of the Lord, but he is still a living entity. And in that way, in a sense, his intelligence is also limited, that he can't remember his previous lives. In terms of reincarnation, what proof is there? Well, you know, how would you describe reincarnation, first of all? What's your understanding of reincarnation, and how do you see it as manifesting or not manifesting?
My understanding is to re-enter into flesh.
To re-enter into the flesh? Okay.
That's the Latin explanation of it.
Yeah.
And that refers to if something is re-entering into flesh, then that means it's not flesh. So
If something's re-entering into the flesh, then it's not the flesh. Then what is it?
it's the spiritual part of the soul.
But re-entering into the flesh, as in the same body, or a different body? Different body. Okay. Okay. So it's all part of. So there's this beautiful book, actually. It's very scientific. It's called The Easy Journey to Other Planets. And Srila Prabhupada actually really scientifically explains the whole process of the science of reincarnation, the science of the transmigration of the soul's journey from one body to another. And in terms of reincarnation, there are also some cases where there are actually proofs of certain personalities actually taking birth, actually reincarnating as someone else. And there's also been cases of how certain family members who are too attached to their family, they actually reincarnate as another living being in the same family. So there are live cases of this happening with certain people. So it helps us, it leads us to believe that yes, it is quite possible, that reincarnation. But obviously, if you want more sort of tangible evidence, then yeah, if you read Srila Prabhupada's books, specifically Easy Journey to Other Planets, it will form a better understanding. So,
I would like to add here that there have been few cases.
Mataji, sorry, do you want to come here so I can see you? Because
In those cases, the little children, probably the age of 4 to 5 years, is from Google and Audra browsers, that they remember their past life, they remember their name, they remember the area, they remember everything about it, and when it was rechecked, it was proven that they remember the past birth. There is a lot of evidence on the Google or other browsers like Safari, where you can find that.
Thank
And
you.
it's proven and it's true that this body is just nothing but sand, and when a soul leaves the body, it finds another body according to your karma,
Yes.
karma yoga.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. So just for the benefit of those who are online, so Mataji was just summarizing how reincarnation is very real, how some people actually remember their past lives, and when they reincarnate, they actually go through, either make endeavors to go through that experience again or to try and find out who they were in their previous lives. And there are live cases of that happening. Mataji also mentioned about how, as the human body, we're just, you mentioned sand. So,
It's the earth.
yeah, so
From the earth, it goes back.
it goes back, okay, so yeah, so we come from the earth and we go back into it. So Srila Prabhupada, in reference to the composition of the body, Srila Prabhupada says this is nothing but a bag of flesh and bones and blood. Yeah, to put it graphically, that's all there is to it. So in terms of, Srila Prabhupada also talks about how having over-attachment to certain members of our family, or ever having over-attachment to certain people in our lives, actually it works to our detriment, actually, because that sort of attachment we will actually have to suffer into our next lives as well. But that doesn't mean that we break off all attachment. That doesn't mean that we become fully detached or even become desireless, to become like, just completely like a sadhu and just have no desires at all. Srila Prabhupada says that because we're humans, it's not possible for us to be completely desireless, but we can dovetail those desires into a spiritual calling. So if we are foodies, I mean, I'm a foodie myself, but a lot of us who are foodies, we can actually enjoy prasadam, but also enjoy it in a quantity and with a mood of reverence, that prasadam is actually Lord Krishna in the form of bhoga, in the form of food. So we honor prasadam, we respect it as Lord Krishna himself. For some of us who enjoy reading, then we can actually use our love for reading, our love for knowledge, we can actually use it to study our scriptures and actually apply those teachings of our scriptures in our lives. Any other reflections? Any questions? Any thoughts? Hema, you have something burning in the back of your mind, I could tell. You want to share something?
Thank you very much for the lovely talk today. I was wondering, is it better to forget if you are reincarnating? Because the experience of death is quite painful, and whatever came with it as well is best forgotten afterwards.
So just to repeat the question, Hema Mataji is asking, is it better to forget if we have a chance to actually remember our past life, anyone in our past life, is it better that we forget who we were in our past life so that we don't have to relive the trauma? That is something, there's a reason why we don't remember our past lives, is because Krishna is trying to save us from that trauma. If we choose to remember, or if we there are some people who do past life regression services, they offer services where you can they put you under hypnosis and they can take you back a certain few thousand years and actually expose you to who you were in your past life. But then, is that really going to solve the problem or is that going to add to your trauma? By remembering who you were in our past life, okay, yes, it's interesting, but then what are we going to do with that information? Is that going to be a missing link to the puzzle of life? Is that going to answer any questions or any difficulties that we have in this life? So in terms of endeavoring to remember who we were in our previous lives, anything could happen to us at any given time. If we focus our energies too much on remembering the past, we are missing out on living in the present. But we are also missing out on an important opportunity to connect with the Lord. We are wasting time like that. Instead of dwelling on the past, it's better that we utilize our time, our energies in remembering the Lord, in offering gratitude to the Lord. Thank you for saving me from the traumatic experiences of each birth. Thank you for giving me that forgetfulness so that in this life I can actually make good use of my time, my skills, and all the qualities that you have blessed me with. I can use it in your service. So, thank you very much. We're going to start the 7 o'clock Aarti now. And I hope all of you can join because it's the final 7 o'clock Aarti of 2025. So, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much and Happy New Year. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I know. In terms of income, it's not.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Yeah, we still have a little bit time. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So we are getting ready now to offer the Aarti. The curtain will open very soon. So we can bow down then and offer our pranams. To get ready, we can try and glorify the Lord. Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe. Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sitaram. Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya